Can you raise your hand if this is the first session you are attending? Is there someone new here? Yep, okay. So many of you were already here for the first session held by Elisa. And so you already had the opportunity to discover a bit more about the legislation process behind the EU cohesion policy. And to start and to check a bit how much you know about the cohesion policy, we'd like to ask you just a bit very brief questions on Slido. So if you see Slido, okay. So here you find the code and the number to access Slido. And we'll start by checking so how much you knew about the cohesion policy before joining this webinar series. It's a very simple question, so don't be afraid of answering that you didn't know anything before. So, okay, well, that's interesting. Okay. So, okay, now there's someone who said a lot. Okay, that's nice. But okay, it seems that it's pretty much at so different levels of knowledge, and there are a same so like a same share of you who said that they knew just a bit more, and a bit more again. So okay, that's interesting to know, and we can pass to the next one. Okay, so many of you, let's say, have already attended the first session, but what do you think that EU cohesion policy does? So it's something like a completely stranger concept to you. So do you have more concrete ideas? Okay, so we have the first three answers. Great. Okay. So partnerships seems to be an interesting option. Then, yeah, a lot of you said also growth, so support growth in regions. So this is also an interesting part because it's not only the member states, but regions as well. Connections, so partnerships again, connections is also linked to transports, economy, development, also development. It seems that it's a very felt feature, in your opinion, and also equity in Europe, cooperation, try to reduce inequality. So it's very interesting to see that for many of you, yes, cooperation is an essential feature of cohesion policy, and also trying to reduce inequality between the regions. And then another element that I see in many of your answers is the word region or regions. And yeah, that's right, I have to say, because it's not only the member states, but also the different areas within the member states are central in a cohesion policy. Oh, then someone says also protection of nature. That's true. Strengthen economy, research and innovation. So all of these are aspects of the cohesion policy and of what the cohesion policy does. Then we'll see in the next part of the session today all the different aspects covered by cohesion policy and how the cohesion policy works. Okay, so now we can pass to the next question. So check if you have ever benefited from a EU-funded opportunity. Okay, so okay. So who said yes? We've been the first one to answer. Okay. Okay. It seems more or less or not sure than directly no. Okay. Okay. So the share of the yes answer is a bit, well, more than expected, I have to say. Yeah, but that's great to know. Okay. And for those of you who said yes, we would like to ask you also from which you founded opportunity they benefited. Okay. Oh, a bit of suspense, like 8 participants typing. Okay. Erasmus is the most common one. Okay, one Ivy, yeah. As a former Ivy, okay, they have my support. European Solidarity Corps as well, okay. Oh, and European Social Fund. That's an interesting answer. Okay. One who did both Erasmus and European Solidarity Corps. EVS, which was the former version of what now is called European Solidarity Corps. And we have one Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. Okay, that's less common. It's a kind of opportunity also less known sometimes. Okay, EU Parliament and Interreg. Okay, it seems that, and this is not like out of the blue, let's say, that Erasmus is the most common answers between all of you. Yeah, we still have 2 participants typing. Okay. A bit of suspense. Okay, Interreg. Okay. So also Interreg is more known than expected. Okay. And someone said that it was an EU-funded opportunity, but they did not know the program. So don't worry, we'll see later the different programs, and maybe you can remember which was the right one. So don't worry for that. Okay. So now that we have a bit of a glimpse of your past experiences, we can focus more on the funded opportunities for young people and on the cohesion policy itself, because sometimes the 2 different concepts are not the same thing. So funded opportunities for young people can also be not under the cohesion policy umbrella, but they can be other types of opportunities. So if you're ready, we can start here. So here's the presentation. And
yes,
here we go.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Perfect.
So we are ready here. And yeah. Okay. So we discussed a bit about what cohesion policy does, in your opinion. And now we'll see a definition for cohesion policy. So cohesion policy is the European Union strategy to promote and support the overall harmonious development of its member states and regions. So here we have a couple of key words to understand what cohesion policy is. First of all, cohesion policy is a strategy, and its aim, let's say, is to support what the overall harmonious development of its member states and regions. So we have the fact that there is the development that it's needed, but it's a kind of development that should be harmonious. So there should be equity between all the different states and all the different regions. And this is the third important information, because the cohesion policy regards not only states as a whole, but also all the regions that are within the EU states. Second part of what cohesion policy is is that it's the EU main investment policy. So it's a policy, okay, and we know that, but it's the main investment one and targets all the regions and also cities in the European Union. And the cohesion policy has specific aims: job creation, business competitiveness, economic growth, sustainable development, and also citizens' quality of life. So there are transversal aims. And then before understanding a bit more how the cohesion policy works, we'd like to focus a bit more on a sort of history piece. It's important to understand the history of the cohesion policy because it's the background where this specific policy is rooted. And in this way, we will understand how it has been developed during the years and which are like the milestones for the cohesion policies. So the birth of the cohesion policy dates back to the birth of what is now the European Union itself. So it is in 1957, and it was stated in the Treaty of Rome, which was the founding treaty for the economic European community. And it's the birth of the regional policy that is stated in this treaty. Then, 11 years later, it was created the first Directorate General for Regional Policy within the European Commission. And it's the body that now is called DG Regio and manages all the cohesion policy and manages how the cohesion policy works. Then in 1975, it was created the first regional fund, which supported the different regions in Europe. And in 1988, it was instead created the first complex cohesion policy. So it was the policy that has taken over the regional policy and that comprehends different areas. Then, with the Treaty of Maastricht, it was created the Cohesion Fund, and then we arrived at 2021. So 2021 is an important date right now because it's the start of the current cohesion policy timeframe, because each cohesion policy created by European Union has a specific timeframe that lasts for 7 years. So the most recent one before the current one was 2014-2020, and the current cohesion policy framework started in 2021 and lasts until 2027. Now we have seen the history of the cohesion policy and the main scopes of it, but which are the priorities, the action priorities for this time frame? Because every time frame has very specific goals. So for these years, there are 5 main goals. The first one is a more competitive and smarter Europe. Then we have a greener Europe, a more connected Europe, so both in terms of transport, but in terms also of digital infrastructures. Number 4, a more social and inclusive Europe. And the last one is Europe closer to the citizens. And so, how these priorities come into action? So the cohesion policy works through different types of funds. And for the 2021-2027 framework, there are 4 different types of funds. And here we are. So the different funds are the ERDF, which is the European Regional Development Fund. Then we have the European Social Fund Plus, And later we will see what this plus stands for, the Cohesion Fund and the Just Transition Fund. And all of these have different aims and different kind of applications. Okay, so I'll go to the next one. Okay, so and who can benefit from the different type of funds of the cohesion policy? So both the authorities at local and national level, so local, regional, and national authorities. Institutions such as social, cultural, and educational institutions. Some other types of bodies, such as NGOs and charities, but also workers and employers organizations, public administrations, but also private entities such as companies, small businesses, and enterprises. You don't see here individuals, because individuals are not directly the recipients of the funds of the cohesion policy, but they benefits from what cohesion policy made possible to realize. Now we can start going a bit more into the different types of fund. So, as we said, first one is ERDF, which stands for European Regional Development Fund. So what the ERDF aims to reach? The main aim of the ERDF is to reduce disparities between the levels of development, because it's a regional development fund, the levels of development of the various regions within the EU. And to which priorities it's linked? To all of the 21, 27 priorities. So greener Europe, smarter Europe, more social and inclusive, and so on. And especially it's linked to smarter and greener Europe. So which areas of you can benefit? Oh, sorry. Okay, can benefit from the ERDF? The whole EU. And it's divided in three types of areas. So the less developed, the more developed, and the areas in transition. But all of them can benefit from the ERDF. And how this type of fund works? So it's mainly managed by national authorities. So it's not directly managed from the EU, and it does not regard individuals in the sense that individuals are not the direct recipients of the funds. And this way of managing the funds is also called the shared management, because the European Union so allows the different nations, the different member states to receive the funds, but then the funds are managed by the national authorities. Within the ERDF as a fund, there is also a specific program, which is the European Territorial Cooperation, also known as Interreg. What does Interreg do, and what Interreg is? So Interreg promotes cooperation between regions and countries. So it regards entire countries, but also regions or areas of the member states, but also out of the EU. And it promotes the cooperation by bringing these regions together to help tackling common issues that they have to face. And they bring them together in different programs. In the picture here, you can see, so indicated by the different colors, the programs of the previous time frame, 2014-2020. And I've chosen this picture because it's the clearest one that I found, okay? But the second reason, and the most important reason, is that between the last time frame and the current one, so not too many features changed. So you can see here a bit of the different programs of the Interreg. And also you can see countries which are not part of the EU. Okay, sorry. And Interreg is linked to all the priorities of the cohesion policy, and it regards all the European Union, but also neighboring countries, because it's the territorial cooperation, pre-accession countries, and countries next to the EU outermost regions. Examples of outermost regions can be, for example, both Canary Islands and Azores, but also the French overseas territories. Just to understand a bit how it's how it is organized. And Interreg, so it's composed of different programs, as I said. And each program is managed by a managing authority and a joint secretariat. And programs can be of 4 different types. So there are 4 funds. ERDF is one of these. And within the RDF, there is also Interreg. Interreg can be of 4 different types. It seems a bit complicated at first, but don't worry, after a bit it will become clearer. So the first type of Interreg, it's called Interreg A, or cross-border cooperation. And it supports cooperation between small regions from at least 2 different member states lying directly on the borders or just adjacent to them. So example of small regions are, for example, Italian provinces. So, or to use a different glossary, you say regions classified at NUTS 3 regions. So they are the smaller regions. The objective of the cross-border cooperation, so the first and most important one is to tackle common challenges identified jointly in the border regions. So all the countries participating in this program have similar issues and they work together to overcome them. Then we have the transnational cooperation, which includes bigger regions, larger transnational territories, or also sea basins. For example, two of the type of these transnational cooperations, two of these programs are the Baltic Sea program, and also there's the Adriatic Ionian Interreg program. Just to understand that it can regard an entire sea basin. Also in this case, the objectives are very similar: to find efficient solution to common territorial, economic, and social challenges. Things get a bit different when it comes to interregional cooperation, because the main difference is that interregional cooperation works at a pan-European level, covering all the member states, and in some cases, even the partner states. And in this case, the Interreg program does not aim at tackling common challenges, but their purpose is to build a network to develop good practices and facilitate the exchange of different experiences and of different know-how. Last type of Interreg is the one that regards the outermost regions and their neighboring countries. And its aim is to support cooperation between non-EU neighboring countries and EU outermost regions. For example, as I said, also the French overseas territories. And regarding this in specific, one example is the Caribbean area Interreg, so the Interreg Caribbean, because it involves an EU outermost region, but also other states that are non-EU, but are close to the EU overseas, the EU outermost regions. Beneficiaries of Interreg programs can be governments and public administration also in this case, but also NGOs and civil society organizations and even research institutes, and in some cases also associations. So very important thing is that associations, civil society organization, research institutes, and in general, all the beneficiaries can directly apply at call for proposals that are published on the website of the different Interreg programs. Of course, you can only apply to the Interreg program that regards your area. There can be more than one, but you cannot apply for a call for proposal from another Interreg that does not regard you. At last, one important thing to underline is that differently from other EU programs in the framework of the cohesion policy, Interreg can involve also non-EU countries. There are specific, for example, Interreg programs called Interreg pre-accession that are aimed at pre-accession countries, and they can also be a tool to support the EU enlargement, because they can be a sort of first instrument in which these countries can cooperate, foreseeing their future membership of the EU. So that can be a sort of tool for that. And there are also other types of Interreg programs that are called Interreg Next, and they are usually cross-border cooperation. That includes countries that are not part of EU and are not part of partnership between EU and other states. To understand it a bit more, here you find an example of what ERDF supports. And this is a project realized in Brussels, and it created an aquaponic farm with greenhouses and gardens to grow fruits and vegetables, but also to have fish in it, in a way to recycle energy and rainwater and to support sustainability as well, while creating food and also food in vegetables and fish as well in the city, in the surroundings of the city, because sometimes it's very difficult, for example, for agriculture to realize agricultural project in a city, and this is a way to support agriculture in a city. We are only at the second type of fund that compose the cohesion policy, which is the European Social Fund Plus, but don't worry, we'll go through all of them. So European Social Fund Plus is the main tool of the European Union for investing in people. It supports employment, education, but also social and skills policies. The priorities to which they are linked are, is the one that regards the more social and inclusive Europe. And it's also important to say that the European Social Fund Plus, it's linked to the European pillars of social rights. This regards the whole EU, and it's mainly managed by national authorities. so under what it's called shared management. But in some cases, it's also aimed at individuals, so individuals can apply directly. The objective regards people, and they can be, for example, social innovation, fair working condition, but also training for people and lifelong learning, for example, also combat child poverty and provide food to the most deprived people. European Social Fund Plus is divided in 4 different funds. And this is what the plus stands for, because there's not only the European Social Fund, but there are also 3 other funds: the Youth Employment Initiative, the Employment and Social Innovation, and then the Fund for the European Aid to the Most Deprived. I would like to focus a bit more on 2 of these 4 funds, which are the Youth Employment Initiative, because it is directly dedicated to young people, and the Employment and Social Innovation Program. So the Youth Employment Initiative is managed by national authorities of the EU member states, and it is aimed at young people under 30 years old, especially at young need, so people who are not in education, in training, or employed. And it was where the youth unemployment rate was higher than 25%. And what does the Youth Employment Initiative fund? For example, apprenticeships, traineeships, but also job placements and further education, leading to a qualification for young people. And young people cannot apply for Young Employment Initiative, but states are entitled to create different initiatives and activities funded through the Youth Employment Initiative, and they dedicate these activities to young people in their state. The other one is different because the Employment and Social Innovation is directly managed by the European Commission, and so it's dedicated to individuals as well. The objectives are employment and skills, so support employment and the development of skills useful on the labor market, then support the labor market and the labor mobility, but also social protection, for example. An example of what ESF supported is this project in Bordeaux, which is called I'm sorry, and I feel sorry for all the people speaking French or from France here, because I didn't study French in school, so I'm sorry for my pronunciation. So parcours pluriel. And it was funded through the Youth Employment Initiative, but by national authorities, and it offers different opportunities to young needs in the Bordeaux area to support them starting a new path in working in culture, in heritage, or in craftsmanship, in a direct connection to sustainable tourism in the Bordeaux area, so that they can find new employment opportunities. Okay. Oh, it's nice to know, yeah. And because Lorraine said that she's from Bordeaux, yeah. And all these examples are provided by AER, because our project in which AER also cooperated. Then Cohesion Fund. This is the 3rd type of fund supported by the cohesion policy. And maybe it's also the easiest one to remember because it's just called Cohesion Fund. Cohesion Fund aims at reducing economic and social disparities and at promoting sustainable development. And in particular, it supports transport and environment. Which are the priorities of the cohesion policy to which the cohesion fund is connected? So they are the greener Europe and a more connected Europe, because it supports environment, transport. So cohesion fund does not regard all the member states, but only member states with a gross national income per inhabitant below the 90% of what is the EU average. For this time frame, the countries who are benefiting from the cohesion fund are, for example, many countries from the eastern area, for example, with and then also Malta and Portugal, just to name a few. And even in this case, is managed by national.
Sophia, sorry to interrupt you. We are having a bit of a struggle hearing you now, like you're a bit cutting. So maybe if you want for the time being, just try take off the camera, just 5 minutes to see whether.
Yeah.
We follow
That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me a bit better now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. That's such a good news because, okay, that's the important thing. So to hear me instead of to see me. So, okay. Here's another example provided of what has been funded by the Cohesion Fund. This is a bridge over the Danube River in Romania that allows the drivers to cross the river in just a couple of minutes instead waiting for a ferry and then getting on the other side of the river in like 50 minutes. And this is a huge a huge advantage for people, also from the economic side and also for their time management. Another example is here. It comes from Cyprus. It is the construction of an infrastructure, a bicycle infrastructure, to get from the university in the outskirts of the city to the city center. So the Cohesion Fund supports very concrete developments, very concrete achievements, and usually they're linked to transport or to environment. And for example, in the second case, it's linked to both. So it supports bicycle, it's an infrastructure for bicycles so that people can go there without using cars, for example. The last type of fund is the Just Transition Fund. The Just Transition Fund is the first pillar of the Just Transition mechanism developed by the EU, and it provides support to the territories most affected by the transition towards climate neutrality. So to the territories which have more problems in transforming from one type of economy to another one. And for example, areas like that may be areas like industrial areas that need to be reconverted in a different type of industry, for example, like mining areas or or like a lot of pollution that needs to be developed into a different type of activity. And of course, the priorities that regards this fund is the Greener Europe one. Okay, as I said, it regards an area more affected by the need for a transition, and it's managed by national authorities. This is an example of a Just Transition Fund, of what the fund supported. The construction of factory factory producing rare magnets, rare earth magnets that are important for Europe's energy transition. For example, they can be used for cars, for electric cars or hybrid cars. And this is not built yet, but it's going to be developed in Estonia. Then is also a sort of appendix to the first types of funds for this time frame of the cohesion policy, because to overcome the socioeconomic crisis due to the pandemic, the 2021-2027 timeframe includes also a program aimed at providing additional fundings to ERDF and to the European Social Fund Plus, which is called Recovery Assistance for Cohesion and the Territories of Europe, also known as REACT-EU. So just for a very brief recap, the types of fund are four. There's the Cohesion Fund, the Just Transition Fund, European Social Fund Plus, and the ERDF. So for the regional development, so the European Regional Development Fund. And plus there is the REACT-EU. Okay, so now we had a brief overview of all the different funds and all the different programs. And if you have questions regarding this, you can ask, don't worry. But before a little Q&A, we'd like to have a more participative moment in breakout rooms. So you will be divided in different breakout rooms, and you will have 15 minutes to discuss this issue together. And is one problem in your region or in your area that your area is facing, and how cohesion policy can help to solve it. And for example, if you have tips from this presentation, or if you already knew programs before, which program could be the most useful to help your region? So now you can discuss it. And at the end of these 15 minutes of discussion, we will talk about that together here. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, Sofia. And
thank you.
I'll start them now. See you in 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, Sofia, can you hear me? Sofia, can you hear me?
So, yes.
Okay, super. Now maybe I was thinking, because now we were hearing you a bit bad. I don't know if you want to try come out of the Zoom.
Okay.
I mean, again, if you maybe try, we have 15 minutes. If you want just to, I don't know, refresh your Wi-Fi, you know, take it out and in again, just maybe it would help. But yeah, overall, we can understand what you said. It's not bad, but like, I mean, we have this time, if you just want to try and do that instead of.
No, because I was worried that it was difficult to hear me, because just before you said that there were issues going on, there was this message, this sort of automatic message on the computer saying that my internet connection was getting a bit worse. So I said, no, okay.
No worries. Yeah, so if you want to go and try, we're seeing, I mean, I closed the break at 5. Yeah, 15 minutes, so at 5:05. Yeah.
Thanks. I've tried to get a bit more fast at a certain time, because I've seen that we are running a bit late, but not so much.
Yeah, overall it's good. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it was very good very didactic, I think. But yeah, for sure, second session, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because so it's the part where you need to explain all the different parts of the funds and so on.
No, but you did great.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll see you later.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So you are back. It seems that all of you are already here, so that's fine. Okay. Okay, so in this 50 minutes, you discussed a bit about the issues of your area and how cohesion policy could support solving these issues. So maybe it could be nice to have a bit of an overview with you and to hear about all of your suggestions about this, and also to see if you have questions. So now that's the important question from my side. Is there someone who would like to start and tell a bit about the discussion of your group? Yeah, okay, I have an enthusiastic sure response. Okay, so Norbert?
Yes, hi everyone again.
Yeah, great.
Hi. So in our group, we discussed about the problem, mostly about Romania, the waste management. And I mentioned that me and Eva, because she's also from Romania, we talked about the waste management because here in Romania, in my opinion, it is auto-limitative. So firstly, there's a national level that is kind of limiting the funds that is coming to Romania through the cohesion policy. As you have saw that maybe in media that we have a specific fund that we can access, but Romania is one of the countries that is not taking all of the money, and the first issue is the bureaucracy and the auto limitation of the legislation here. So it is really hard to access the funds. There is a lot of criteria that we have to have a look on it. So that's the first issue that we mentioned. What is the problem here regarding the waste management? So we are not recycling, not even close enough to the average. We are kind of at 13% that the waste is recycled here in Romania, and the average in Europe is way above 40%. So we are way behind at this level. So mostly that was the thing that we discussed.
Well, we also talked that from also the recycling situations, some places have more difficulties, and maybe could be that the audience, well, the people aren't that well aware of recycling, the recycling situation, and that could be a good opportunity for maybe from the Just Transition Fund or other program that could help also initiate more of projects or programs that can make them more aware in terms of recycling, or also create new entrepreneurial projects. Like good example from the circular economy that did this market with the fish water and also the plants. It could be something also related that we can use. Think like food that's going to be expired could be used for a project that can save up food and using it in a smart way and also an economical way. So that's also something that could add or can be used from the cohesion policy.
Yeah. So thank you both to Eric and also to Norbert, because that's a really interesting input, and recycling is really an important issue to focus on and to tackle, because not in all Europe and not in all the regions of even it's the same country, recycling works in the same way, and that's a problem. And one other important point that also Norbert highlighted is the fact that sometimes it's not that easy for national authorities to use all the funds that have been that have been assigned to them because of bureaucracy, and because sometimes also of know-how and experiencing within the implementing bodies. And this is also a suggestion for the future, for of course, because well, it's a way of providing a harmonious development, also to harmonize the different level of knowledge of the implementing bodies in the different national authorities of member states, but also in the national areas of the same state, for example. Yeah. Is there someone else who would like to say about something about a different theme? Oh, okay, we have Milena. Okay, Milena, hi. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's great. Milena said that in her group, they also mentioned the manifesto for young people by young people to shape the European cooperation policy. And it's something that I know in person as well, because I was part of the process that led to the creation of this manifesto as a former Interreg volunteer. Yeah, and this is another type of application of a cohesion fund, of a cohesion policy, because it's directly related to Interreg, and it's a tool developed within Interreg to understand how young people can have a more important role in the Interreg programs. Yeah. And that's
Sofia, if I may, I can maybe mention some topics we discussed in our group. We spoke about the problem of student housing in some European countries, and also of the rail stations situation. The rails, by the way, in some countries, in particular Italy and Greece. And then also we discussed about the youth participation in public policy, and especially cohesion fund, so which is related to what you were saying with Interreg Youth Volunteer. And I presented a project which I lead with the Burgundy-Franche-Comté region, which is an Interreg project within the framework of the Alpine Space program, which is called Support YOUTHOPia, and which allow youth to participate in the activity of the European strategy for the Alpine region. And we also have a competition right now for young people that I can share with you in chat. And it allows young people, youth, to present projects and win even money prize, which are financed through our regional council and to the ERDF fund, European Regional Development Fund, and Interreg fund, which is the program which I mentioned later, which is the Alpine Space program, and I will share with you in chat all these informations.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your inputs. Yeah, that could be an interesting opportunity for all the participants, I think. And you mentioned another theme that is extremely relevant. You said rail system, especially in some countries, and rail systems improvements, for example, can be supported by the Cohesion Fund, because the Cohesion Fund focuses on transport, for example, and yeah, it could be a solution, but also for the countries with a lower GDP, let's say. But that's really important. So I think that we will receive like many yes answers to this. Is someone of you who ever experienced the difficulties using train systems connecting different European countries here? Yeah, someone who would like to add something on this? Oh, that's surprising. Because I've always found a bit complicated using the different railing systems in the different nations in Europe, because you have to change a train many times. So no raised hands on this. Okay, so that's sweet. You have, yeah, you have. Okay. Okay, yeah. So, and I agree on this. Yeah, but that's a central question. Yeah, that's a central problem, let's say. And then we have discussed from problems from southern areas in Europe and eastern countries. And is someone of you from more northern countries who would like to underline an issue that their areas is facing? So if you'd like to, just raise your hands. Well, your digital hand, not the real one. Okay, so the options, okay, there's one. Yeah, because I was going to say that the options were only two, so no people from northern areas or no problems in northern areas, but now we have Lauren. Yeah, I can hear you. No, I could hear you. So
I think she froze, so we lost her.
No,
No worries.
no.
Sofia, if I may, in our group, for instance, there were 2 participants from the Netherlands, which it's central north, but I think they cannot really maybe talk because they were traveling or something. So if they don't mind, I can share what they told us in the group. And of course, I see someone is here. And, if someone would like to add, then please. But for instance, they were talking about the problem of digitalization and the problem of also getting young people involved. So for instance, there are many projects that are funded about digitalizations, but are not enough yet. And there is much that should be done still. And also often young people don't know about all the possibilities, all the opportunities. And also even if there are, they feel that they cannot maybe join and maybe they live abroad. I let Ramon explain him better than me because he was one of my team workers.
Okay, well, thank you for this introduction in the meanwhile. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for addressing this point. So I'm from the Netherlands, from the province of Gelderland, which is one of the, let's say, biggest provinces in the Netherlands that gets most of the European funding. It's in the top 3 from the 12 provinces in total. And we experienced problems in terms of digitalization because when we experienced COVID, many companies had to transition into a new workspace and try to come up with alternative ways of communication. So I think in our region, digital competences is very important for youth as well. I'm sorry, I'm traveling now, so maybe you didn't hear what I was saying, but yeah, that's something that I would like to address. That I think it would be great if the Social Cohesion Fund could focus more on digital competences for youth, because we are the future and we need to be aware of that. That's it now. I got over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. Thank you.
Thank you for so your suggestion on this, and don't worry, we could hear you fine. So okay, we got all your points, and yeah, that's another theme for sure. Also because 2023 is the European Years of Skills. And so the work of European institutions is very focused on developing skills for the European citizens. And that's something that it's really related to this. And it's important also to support young citizens to develop digital skills, which will be at the core of new jobs, for example, new employment possibilities. And also they are fundamental sometimes to apply to European programs or to propose a project under one of the Cohesion Fund opportunities such as Interact. So yeah, it's important that it's transversal, because I think that it regards different areas of Europe, even the ones that we think that have maybe more possibilities in terms of employment opportunities than others. Yeah, that's for sure. And then starting from what also Milena was saying prior to Ramon interventions. So it's true that sometimes young people do not have do not receive much information on what are the opportunities, the EU-funded opportunities aimed at young people themselves. And this is also one of the reasons for this webinar series. And in the next part of the webinar of today, we are going to focus more on the single opportunities, on the direct opportunities for young people. And this regards not only young people, in fact, but also a quite huge share of European citizens that does not know about the different achievements that are linked to the cohesion funds. And in fact, it's important also to create a storytelling about this. And this is going to be the theme of the next webinar of next week, led by Theo, who's here, also connected. And so I recommend to all of you also to participate to the next webinar to discover more about creating a positive storytelling for the European opportunities. Yeah, and that's true. And sometimes you do not notice opportunities in your area that have been supported by EU, but once you start having a deeper look, okay, you start noticing all of them. And that's true, because for example, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in the mountains, and there was like out of the blue, okay, in the middle of the road, this big Interreg sign, and I say, oh, there was something funded by Interreg. And once you start noticing one of them, then you start noticing also all the others. Yeah, and that's why also, because we are going to pass to the next part of this meeting of today. And we are going to discover more about the opportunities for young people. I only have two things to say before that if you have any questions regarding what we are discussing, just raise your digital hand here in Zoom, and then we can just take a moment to discuss your question. And the second thing is that Anna and Erika were planning to have a picture of all of us. Is it true? So, Anna, Erik?
Yes. I'm seeing
okay.
people are showing their beautiful smiles, hopefully. So we are going. Wait, let me just.
Okay.
I mean, the plan is to the plan is to make us as the Cohesion Fund project like a bridge. So yeah, let's do everyone like this.
It's an experiment. It's an experiment. Like if we all be like this, like connecting to, maybe like try to see with your neighbor, like.
Oh. But then who takes the picture?
Oh no, put this. Okay. Okay. True. I can't.
Oh no, Anna.
Oh no. Then
it will be one of like this. To let the boat pass by. Okay, you just do it, Anna.
I'm sorry. No, wait. And 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Hey, great. Okay, hope it goes well.
Okay, so great. Yep. Okay, don't worry for all of you who are having camera issues, okay, because there are also, well, the other picture, so that is fine. Thank you. And now we are going to the next part. And here we go. Here we go, maybe. Okay, yeah, now it's working. Okay, so which are the opportunities that are available in the EU and by the EU for young people? They can be of different types: mobility for students and pupils, traineeships, apprenticeships, jobs, volunteering, support for activists, for example, and many other activities that we are going to focus on in the next part of the meeting. So that's important to know that usually opportunities for young people refer to people under 30 years old, but there are a couple of exceptions. So one exception in particular, which is the opportunity in humanitarian aid, that refers to people under 35 years old, and other opportunities that are open with no age limits. Okay, here we have an overview of the programs that we are going to discuss. So I think that maybe all of you already know Erasmus, okay, Erasmus for university students, for example. Do you know all of these programs? If there's someone who already knows everything about these programs, just raise your hand. Okay, so there will be a bit of a surprise, I think. Good to know, except for Erasmus, which is like the superstars of the EU opportunities for young people. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we are starting with the Interreg volunteer view. Okay, which is also the program in which I participated after I graduated. So it is something that I know in person. So Interreg Volunteer Youth is managed by the European Commission's DG Regio. And through this program, young people can support European territorial cooperation, so namely Interreg, working closely with Interreg management or Interreg project partners. So one thing or the other. And where is it possible to do an Interreg volunteer youth project? In all the EU, including the outermost regions, but also in neighboring countries or pre-accession countries. But this is important. If you are not interested in going abroad, you can also be an Ivy volunteer in your home country. So I've seen here also the Ivy staff and other people who took part to Ivy or who already know Ivy. So yeah, like hearts from Milena, yeah, she knows it. She's a part of the staff. Okay, Ivy volunteers can be Interreg reporter or Interreg project partner. So you can apply to this, so to one program or the other. You can't do both. Then you can do only the Interreg reporter or the Interreg project partner. In the first one, volunteers work at an Interreg program's managing authority or joint secretariat, sometimes they are together, and support the program's communication. So it's a kind of volunteering really linked to communication activities. For example, the volunteers can contribute to inform citizens about the ongoing project funded by that specific Interreg programs, and also support the social media management of the Interreg program and write articles for the website of the program or a blog. I did this opportunity in 2027, which feels like a nice age ago, okay, at the moment. And I have to say that it is really a great start for your career path, because it's a kind of opportunity that helps you developing skills useful also for your job, and helps you discovering more about the cohesion policy, and especially about Interreg programs. And it helps you also improving your language skills and understand the different issues of EU countries. I volunteered at the Central Baltic program in Turku in Finland, which is a program that regards small areas, so it's a cross-border Interreg program from Baltic countries. For example, there was Finland, Sweden, Estonia, and Latvia as well. And you get to discover a lot about the features of other EU countries, and you can discover also how these countries work together to solve their common issues. And so beside this sort of possibility, you can also be an Interreg project partner. And so what is the difference for this from these different types of volunteering? If you are an Interreg project partner, you work as a partner of one of the projects funded by an Interreg program. So you work directly in this organization, and you can support the project implementation that can be in different areas. For example, the project can be linked to education, research, but also biodiversity and environment. It can regards competitiveness, and so you can work in a small business and support also public administration. And as I said, you can gain a lot of experience and develop skills useful for your future. And then you can also be supported, because the Ivy program supports volunteer with a per diem and a sort of refund for your travels to get to the place where you will be deployed. Applications can be made by young people from 18 up to 30-year-old, and you can see placement offers, and the volunteering can last from 2 to 6 months. And I really recommend Ivy. And I have to say that when I did that, it was the first year when it was launched, and it was really nice to start in a project that was just launched, and you really had the opportunity to support it. Okay, now we arrive at the most famous one. Okay, so Erasmus+. Erasmus+ is the EU program in support of education, training, youth, and also sport. And sometimes sport is the lesser known part of Erasmus+. It's linked to the EU youth strategy, and its main objective is to promote learning mobility. Okay, and this is, like, as I said, the superstar. You can do an Erasmus in all the EU countries, and also the outermost regions are participating to the Erasmus+ project, but are participating also neighboring countries, pre-accession countries, and other non-EU countries, but they can have different roles depending on the different branch of the program, because Erasmus+ can support different things besides the mobility of higher education students, as like all of you know. Okay, okay, just thank you to Theodora for being with us until now. Okay, and here we are. I was taking a look at the messages. So Erasmus+ can support also the mobility of teachers, trainers, and youth workers. So if there are young teachers among you, you know that you can apply with your school to create an Erasmus+ project for the exchange of and the mobility of young teachers. can apply also doctoral researchers. And then Erasmus Plus supports also short-term youth exchanges and youth participation events. And this is one of the lesser known parts of Erasmus Plus, because you can find also youth exchanges or also like youth participation events like Forum, for example, organized by NGOs or other non-governmental bodies. And you can apply to participate to that, receiving a per diem. But then there is also the other part, because Erasmus Plus supports also traineeships and apprenticeships. Okay, how does it support young people? I think that it's like everyone knows that it supports your education, and it helps developing and strengthening your skill, learning languages, and discovering EU countries and people. And then also teacher can strengthen their competencies. If you'd like to apply to an Erasmus Plus project, you should be from 18 years old to 30 years old. Okay, so I get a bit faster on the Erasmus Plus because it is the most known program, but then later we can have a look at how you can find the opportunities online. Because if you'd like to apply to a higher education mobility program, you have to check on your university website, for example. If you'd like to apply to an exchange of young people or a forum, you should look for NGOs or associations doing that. But then you can find all the important info if you'd like to apply to a traineeships or to an apprenticeship. And we are going to see that later. And then there's this one. I remember that one person among you said that they took part in Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. So Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs is a cross-border exchange program that gives new or aspiring entrepreneurs the chance to learn from experienced entrepreneurs in another country running small businesses. And which are the countries participating to this program? So all the EU countries plus other 14 countries. So if you come from one of these other non-EU country, you can apply to the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. And you can see here the countries starting from Albania, Armenia, and until Liechtenstein in this list. And people from all these countries can apply. How does it work? This is a core question because it's not one of the most famous programs for young people in Europe. So, but not for that is less important. An experienced entrepreneur hosts an entrepreneur who has started a business within the past 3 years, or an aspiring entrepreneur. So you can have a business idea, but not having started your business yet, and you can apply in any case. And the more experienced entrepreneur hosts the younger one to share competencies, skills, so that the young entrepreneur can train in a successful business and acquire experience and know-how. And this is a relation that works on both directions, because also the host entrepreneur will gain experience in this. And the stay can last from 1 month to 6 months. And as the program is a cross-border one, it should be in a different country from your home country. How does it support young people? So what is the advantage that comes with it for young people applying and participating in this program? So you will improve the entrepreneurial experience refine your business ideas or your business plan if you'd like to start your business. For example, if you'd like to start a startup. And then, most important, also become a member of an international European business network and gain knowledge about foreign markets. And even in this case, participants will receive financial support from the EU. How to apply to this program? You can apply directly through an online form. So you don't need to contact a university or another association or organization as it is for the Erasmus+. But in this case, you can just go online on the website and register. And if you are selected, then you will be supported by a local contact points in the countries where you will find the opportunity. Okay, so thank you, Norbert, for your kind message. Have a good day. And now we are going to another one, European Solidarity Corps. I read that someone of you said that European Solidarity Corps was one of the opportunities on which they have more interest. And so here we are. So European Solidarity Corps is, first of all, a volunteering project in which young people will receive also a financial support from you. In fact, it's a program for young people wishing to engage in solidarity activities in a variety of areas, such as helping the disadvantaged and providing also humanitarian aid. And the application can come from people from the entire EU and also from non-EU partner countries. And volunteers can be deployed within the EU and also in third countries, especially for the humanitarian aid part of the program. Okay, and then how does it work in practice? So the young volunteer, who can be up to 30-year-old in case of all the activities and up to 35 in case of humanitarian aid activities, are engaged mostly in cross-border volunteering. So sometimes it's possible to volunteer in your own country, but in most of the cases, you will be involved in a different countries. And ESG, which stands for European Solidarity Corps project, can be focused on different teams. And you can choose the area of interest for you or the area where you will feel more comfortable to act. For example, inclusion, reception and integration of refugees and migrants, environmental protection, citizenship and participation, but also creativity, and I understand this, it's a bit more complex to approach, also disaster recovery. For example, some years ago, there was one of the European Solidarity Corps program in Italy to support people after an earthquake. And this is an example of how a disaster recovery activity can look like. Yeah. And the volunteering for the individual involved in the European Solidarity Corps can last from 2 to 12 months. And all the placement offers will state how much the project will last. And so you can decide to which kind of project apply, also considering its duration. And it supports young people, helping them learning new skills. And in this case, it's important to underline not only the work skills, something that is directly applicable in a job, for example, but also the life skills that you get in so in working with people, in supporting people, in working, for example, also in creativity. So it's something that can help you in your life, in your everyday life. And then you can also learn or improve a language, and then also find a career path you'd like to continue. For example, I think that it's possible to do, it's to apply for a European Solidarity Corps as a sort of a gap year. So you have finished your high school and you are not sure about what to do next, and you can spend a year during a European Solidarity Corps project, and you can also discover like a field of action that you'd like to discover more about, or a career path that you'd like to continue. Application can come from young people up to 30 or to 35, as we said before, and they should be on the EU Youth Portal. So it's very simple. You just go on the EU Youth Portal online, find a list of opportunities, and apply directly from there. And now we are getting to one of the maybe lesser known opportunities, which is Youth Regions. Youth Regions is aimed at journalist students or young journalists. And through this program, they will be supporting in getting a training in journalism and the EU institution and cohesion policy, and then they will report what is happening in their area, and especially what EU is doing in their area. And they will receive mentorships, for example, and they will have the chance to visit, for example, EU Affairs media headquarters, or also EU institutions. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Anna, for this suggestion, because we are running late, okay? And at the moment, Youth Regions application for 2023 are closed, but there will be maybe a new opportunity next year. That's the same also for EU Teens for Green, which is a program for young people aged 15 to 24, who are activists or would like to support the green transition in the area. Through this program, they can receive funding to realize activities supporting the green transition. It's closed for 2023, but on the website you can be informed and stay in touch with all the information regarding the new possibility for the next years. Then there are also two other opportunities for young people that can be interesting. The Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions that supports the mobility of researchers, including doctoral and postdoctoral research, and also the European Job Days, which are online and supports finding job opportunities in other countries in Europe. Now we have a very brief focus on where to find these opportunities, which is important as well. First website to write down is the European Youth Portal. That is a repository of all the initiatives dedicated to young people by the EU. Here you can find all the different programs and the links to the different programs websites. And most important of all, here you can find the placement offers for the European Solidarity Corps, and you can apply to them. So please remember the European Youth Portal. The Erasmus Plus website, where you can find info about the program and how to apply, but you cannot apply directly from the website. The Interreg Youth website, where you can find indeed the placement offers and all the information for your application. So here it's you can just go and check, and if you're interested, send an application because it's easy. The Interreg website, where you can find the Interreg programs in this case, and find out which regard your area, which ones regard your area, because if you're part of an association or a local civil society organization, for example, and you have an idea, you can find the different calls or proposals. And if you're interested, you can find partners and create and propose your own project. And sometimes there are less young people association proposing project under the Interreg. So it's important to consider there's also this opportunity. The website for the Erasmus for Entrepreneurs, where you can find the possibilities and apply for the program. As I said before, it's easy also in this case because you find all the offers here and you can directly join the program from your computer. The portal of the European Job Days. The European Job Days does not only refer to young people because there's no age limit, and here you can find the job opportunities starting from postdoctoral research to also jobs in, for example, in accommodations, in restaurants, in different areas of Europe. And there are opportunities already available. And then there are the job days where you can register and then participate, and you can meet people offering jobs and job opportunity, and you can receive different vacancies, for example, here. On the webpage of the EU Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion, you can find the link for the apprenticeships, which are more useful if you enrolled in vocational schools, for example, in vocational education. And you can find the list of all the EU countries. Clicking by the name of your countries, you will discover all the national agency will support apprenticeships and promote apprenticeships, usually under the Youth Employment Initiative. Here is the Youth for Regions portal for young journalists. You can take a look to the new selection because this year is closed. Same for the EU Teams for Green website. You can monitor the situation. Here you can find the details and open position for the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions regarding exchanges and mobility for doctoral and postdoctoral researchers. And this is not an official website, is the Erasmus intern website, and you can find here traineeships and internships supported by the Erasmus Plus project, and the website itself has been funded through the Erasmus Plus program and created by Erasmus Student Network. And instead, if you'd like to discover more about the EU cohesion policy, I remember the YOUTHopia website, where you can find also the Hotline Cohesion series, read the cohesion stories and all the further opportunities, such as the webinar series that we are participating to, and the European Commission website. Then we will share this presentation, so you will have to check all the different links, so don't worry about that. Now we'd like to have a very brief discussion about the different programs that we have seen. The idea was to do that in the breakout rooms, but as we are running a bit late, So we are going to do that in the main room here. Here you can find the 5 questions that we'd like to discuss, and we can start here. In the meanwhile, I've seen in the messages that there's a question about the Salto use, to discover more about that. And yeah, that's a good question. So we can start discussing a bit for the moment, and then we can also focus a bit more about the Salto project. Okay, so here we go. I'm sorry because you know, time is running out as always, but okay, I have a question from Danai. So please, Danai, feel free to speak.
Okay, so my question is regarding the ideas that we have to find for programs for. Do we write them down on the chat, or are we to raise our hands and take some sort of order?
Yeah, for answering to the questions, yeah, you can just raise your hand here. Is
but also feel free to take the floor if you have already answer and or a suggestion. I think we are not too many, so we are manageable. Don't think everybody would jump.
Okay, yes. So we start from the first question. So imagine being a recent graduate, or maybe you are a recent graduate already, okay? Looking for opportunities to improve your skills after university. Which programs do you think are the most useful and why? So do you have any suggestion about this? Something that comes to your mind? Yep. You can go. Milena, and then also Danai.
I let Danai if she wants to start.
No, you can go first. You were first.
No, I only wanted to say, I think there is not a correct, just one correct answer on this, because you can do many different ones, and I think they can be all very useful to develop new skills. Myself, I did an IVY experience, I did European Solidarity Corps, I did Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, I did several Erasmus Plus projects and other actual activities. So I think they built all my skills basically. So I will say it's difficult to just find one that it's at least my personal opinion. I think they all can really improve your skills.
Yeah, that's true. There's not just one right answer, but it depends on the interest of everyone. It depends on yeah, what I'd like to do, and if I'd like to move to another country or not. So yeah. Danai, what do you think about it?
All right, so I also agree that there are many that can help to gather experience and skills, but one I would say is more broad and could help most graduates is the Erasmus Plus, because it includes many different areas of expertise. It doesn't have to be specified. For example, some of the corps activities are a little bit more specific and would not be able to be provided to some graduates. My point of view, I see that Erasmus Plus is helpful in this case.
Okay, yeah. So you can apply for a traineeship and so starting learning a job as well, or you can apply for also a youth exchange and discuss with other people and focus on a specific team, for example. Yeah. And instead, if you'd like to improve a business idea, which programs would you do? So Milena said that she participated in the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, And I think that Erasmus for entrepreneurs would be a very good option in this case, because you will have the opportunity to learn how to develop a business with a more experienced entrepreneur. Yeah. And instead, if you are a young researcher, so I've seen that Gaia in the chat suggested the Marie Curie scholarship, or also the Erasmus Mundus. Erasmus Mundus is another type of Erasmus Plus funded opportunities that promotes and supports the realization of joint master programs in Europe, and so young students can apply to them and study in an international surrounding. Yeah, and I think that they are both two great suggestions. And instead, if you are looking for a job and you can consider moving to a new country, what would you do? So, do you have suggestions on this? Or maybe there's some of you who already tried to do that, were looking for a job in the past and then moved to another country. Yeah, Milena in the chat suggests EURES, which is also known as the European Job Day. And yeah, you can find a job on this website, and you can register also for a job day and discover also employers and placement offers from employers there. Have you already tried to participate in one of the European job days?
Me or in general? I got
in general, yeah.
I've never participated, but it would be nice to hear.
Yeah. Okay, so no experience from this side. Yeah. Yeah, let's demonstrate that it's a kind of opportunity that it's not so much known, but I think that it's extremely useful as well. And the fact that it's not so known sometimes can be a bit of a problem, because you can find effective opportunities there. Yeah. And instead, if you are a young activist and you are a member of an association that promotes sustainability, which programs do you think are the most useful? Yeah, we have a suggestion from Danai.
So I think that Youth for Regions or European Solidarity Corps both cover this, because for example, European Solidarity Corps really helps with sustainability. Many of their programs are focused on sustainability. And for Youth for Regions, they promote the best and greener options for many of their programs. So I think that also falls under the category. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And instead, if you prefer to stay in your area, so without mobility opportunities, you can also, and if you are part of an association, you can find other associations or civil society organization and create a project proposal to submit to an Interreg program, so that you can have the opportunity to directly create actions for sustainability in your own areas. For example, if you'd like to support a training program on sustainability in schools, you can do that through an Interreg project, or also, but at the moment is closed, you could do that through applying to the EU Teens for Greens also, for example. Yeah, there are more than just one questions, because it's not like a true or false questions. It's like, what would you do? So you have plenty of opportunities but it's important to know them, because if you don't know the opportunities, it's difficult to find them. Yeah, and that's the main issue for that. Yeah, thank you, Iris, also for sharing in the chat this website. So if there's someone interested, you can just go in the chat. Yeah. No, as for this question, so asking, I would like to know if you need to apply to your university to do an Erasmus traineeship. I have to say that no, yeah, that's true. You have to apply to an organization doing an Erasmus traineeships, not to your university. And if you are not enrolled in a university, for example, if you studied vocational education, it's not a problem in that case, except depending on the requirements of any specific placement offer. So you can go on the website, such as also Erasmus Intern, and check all the possible placement offers. Yeah. That's sure. Then if you are looking for a job, you can also apply to a traineeship, because maybe you can be interested in starting working in a new sector. So also considering a traineeships can be a good option alongside the European job days. Yeah, that's true. So we are already like 6 minutes over the planned time. So do you have any questions regarding the different opportunities? Yeah, you have another question? Feel free to go.
So I have a question, and one that is more than a statement, more of a statement than a question. So regarding the question, you mentioned at some point that Erasmus includes sports programs. I have heard of that before, but I'm not at all educated because there isn't much information on the topic. And my statement is that I have heard from people that are organizing teams for Solidarity Corps that although the age limit for participants is usually 33, there isn't the same limit for team leaders. Team leaders can be older, and I've heard that a person that was even in their 50s was a team leader of a Solidarity Corps team. So I'm wondering, is that correct? Have I mistook the information?
Okay, yeah, very interesting question. So both of them. Considering sports, it's true that there is a branch of the Erasmus Plus project funding opportunities in sports, involving also mobility opportunities for students and also young athletes, for example, organizing also international sports events. And considering instead the age limits for the European Solidarity Corps, it depends, because 30 is the average limit for all the other activities, while 35 is the age limit for the humanitarian aid. As for the team leaders, instead, I think that in that case, they can be the team leaders of the host organizations. So the host organizations do not have any specific age limit, so you can find trainers and team leaders of the team where you are going to be work with, and you can find people of different ages. I think, yeah. So it's kind of different, channel, let's say, because host organizations are on one side, and then participants of the ESG are on the other. Yeah. Yes, And then you can find all the information in the presentation that we are going to share with you. And first of all, after all these 2-hour meetings, we would like to thank you for your enthusiastic participation and for all the interesting inputs that you gave and for the fruitful exchange that we have. And yeah, and I'd like to close the session with just one very brief reflection on the fact that cohesion policy brings together states in some cases, for example, in Interreg, and helps overcoming the differences in between the different states, for example, the differences in the levels of regional development, the differences in the opportunities that people from different areas have. And in this case, I am convinced that it brings more European feelings because you have to witness in this case, and you do that. You witness what the EU does, and you are aware that that the European Union support opportunities not only for young people but also for the territories, and you have to learn. You get to learn about that, and in the end, the whole cohesion policy boosts the European citizenship, the European citizenship feeling that we can have. So thank you for your participation once again. And I remember that YOUTHopia is a project supported by the Assembly of European Regions, and we will invite you to the next webinar of next week. So have a nice weekend and see you all the next time we see you. Bye.
Well, let me just say last few words. So thank you a lot, Sofia, for taking this opportunity to do the presentation, and also big thanks to everyone who you being here and showing that you are interested, and also this give us a lot of information for knowing if what things we should improve or innovate. And I hope that you have taken this session to learn and you got in new stuff to think about. And yeah, we really appreciate your opinion, and for sure we'll send you all the materials that we've shared here and also in the chat, and we also will take into account all the things that you've done. And yeah, we can always, well, next week is going to be the last session, and it's going to be a very interesting one, as we're going to be into building storytelling, but also informing about other quite important and interesting facts in terms of artificial intelligence, which that could be also a good positive way of thinking in terms of transition and digital skills. So yeah, we'll send you next week all the information that you need to know from this session, as well as for the next one. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining here.
I think we missed your last bits or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sure.
Hey, Sofia, so Theo wanted to stay for his, because he had a question for his session. Thanks a lot, that was really informative, really good. I'm definitely keeping your presentation for myself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to you, and if you need anything about the presentation or something, just ask. Yeah.
Perfect, thanks. I mean, Eric and Anna will be the ones following on the, reporting and everything. But yeah, thanks, that was great. And I had a very interesting group during my breakout room. I wish I could have shared, but this is when my connection decided to die. But anyway.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm happy that it was participative, and I'm sorry that we needed to running a bit more fast. But yeah, that's it. So thank you.
15 minutes more, at the end of the world.
Yeah.
Bye, Sofia. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye, Theo.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye, Eric.
He looks comfortable.
He looks very comfortable.
Yeah, it is. How are you doing? You good?
We are doing better than our internet connection. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, it's always like this. So I saw your email, Lorena.
I hope you did. How is it to work with me again, Theo? Not too traumatizing.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Tell me.
So yeah, from what I understand is like you would like to have someone from ERDF to present something like
yeah, it's not exactly someone from ERDF.